Opossum. Let's talk about North America's only marsupial and the original master of playing dead. You'll find opossums waddling through suburban backyards, urban parks, and pretty much anywhere humans leave trash cans unsecured from Canada down to Costa Rica. These creatures have been perfecting the art of deception for millions of years. Size-wise, an adult opossum is about as big as a house cat, though much pudgier. They've got coarse gray fur, a pointed pink nose, and that famous rat-like tail that's completely hairless and works like a fifth hand for gripping branches. Their ears look like they've been dipped in black ink. Up close, they're not exactly cute. 50 teeth crammed into that tiny skull make them look permanently startled and slightly threatening. The real power is their immune system. Opossums have a natural resistance to rabies that scientists still don't fully understand. Their body temperature runs too low for the virus to thrive effectively. They also eat thousands of ticks every season, hoovering them up like tiny vampire vacuum cleaners and preventing Lyme disease from spreading. For humans, an opossum bite is painful but not dangerous. Those 50 teeth can break skin, but they're not venomous and rarely cause serious injury. They'd much rather run than fight. For their actual threats, though, the opossum has developed something far more effective than teeth. When cornered by a predator, a coyote, a dog, even a curious human, the opossum doesn't fight. It doesn't run. It dies. Or at least it performs death so convincingly that Academy Award voters should take notice. The opossum collapses onto its side, tongue lolling out, eyes glazed and staring at nothing. Its breathing becomes undetectable. Its heartbeat slows dramatically. And here's where it gets truly disgusting. It releases a rotting corpse smell from anal glands, complete with a greenish discharge that mimics actual decay. The performance can last anywhere from a few minutes to several hours. And here's the wild part. The opossum isn't faking it consciously. This is an involuntary response. Like fainting, the animal literally cannot control when it happens or when it stops. But that's not even the weirdest thing about opossums. Female opossums have a forked reproductive system, a two-pronged uterus, and two separate vaginas. Males have a matching forked penis. They give birth to babies the size of honeybees after only 12 days of pregnancy, and those underdeveloped newborns must crawl through fur into the mother's pouch to continue developing. It's marsupial reproduction at its most bizarre. What comes next took this survival strategy and added theatrical flair you won't believe. Hognose snake. This is the drama queen of the reptile world, and it lives across the central and eastern United States, from southern Canada down to Mexico. You'll find hognose snakes in sandy soils, grasslands, and woodland edges, anywhere they can dig and burrow. They're completely harmless to humans, but they've convinced thousands of people otherwise through pure performance art. A hognose snake is about as long as a yardstick, maybe 2 feet on average, though some reach 3. They're thick body with keeled scales that give them a rough texture, and they come in wild color variations: brown, gray, orange, even pink. The defining feature is that upturned snout that looks like a tiny shovel, hence the name. They use it to dig in sandy soil, rooting around for their favorite prey like little serpentine bulldozers. Surprisingly, the power is in those rear fangs. Yes, hognose snakes are technically venomous, but calling them dangerous is like calling a butterfly terrifying. They have enlarged teeth at the back of their mouth and mild venom that helps subdue toads. For humans, even if you somehow manage to let one chew on your finger for several minutes, which they won't, you'd experience mild swelling at worst. Nothing that will land you in the hospital. For their actual prey, though, toads and frogs, that venom is genuinely debilitating, causing paralysis and making the meal easier to swallow. The hunting method is straightforward. They follow scent trails with their tongue, dig up buried toads, and use those rear fangs to grab and hold while the mild venom does its work. They're patient, methodical hunters that will spend hours excavating a single toad burrow. But when a hognose snake feels threatened, it launches into a two-act performance that would make Shakespeare jealous. Act 1. Intimidation. The snake flattens its neck like a cobra, hisses loudly, and strikes repeatedly with a closed mouth. Full commitment to the bluff. Zero follow-through. If that doesn't work, Act 2. Death. The snake flips onto its back, writhes dramatically, opens its mouth, lets its tongue hang out, and, here's the commitment, releases blood and musk that smells like death itself. It goes completely limp. If you flip it right side up, it will immediately roll back onto its back, as if to say, "No, I'm definitely dead, see?" The performance is so over the top that it actually undermines the illusion. A truly dead snake wouldn't keep insisting it's dead. And here's the unexpected twist. Hognose snakes have been documented making a hissing sound that closely resembles a rattlesnake's rattle, despite having no rattle at all. They're vocal mimics, adding another layer to their defensive arsenal of pure theatrical deception. The next creature on our list takes playing dead to the aquatic world, with a twist that involves actual chemical warfare: fire-bellied toad. Let's talk about a creature that's only the size of a golf ball, but packs a defense system most people never see coming. Fire-bellied toads are native to northeastern China, Korea, and parts of Russia, though they've become popular in the pet trade worldwide. In the wild, they hang out in ponds, slow-moving streams, and muddy wetlands, always close to water, always ready to dive. These toads max out at about 2 inches long, smaller than a computer mouse. From above, they're camouflaged in mottled green and brown, blending perfectly with pond vegetation. But flip them over, and you'll see where the name comes from. Their bellies are painted in brilliant oranges and reds with black spots, like a warning label designed by nature. That coloration isn't just for show. It's advertising something genuinely dangerous. The real power is their skin toxin called bomycin. When threatened, fire-bellied toads secrete this mild neurotoxin through their skin. Not enough to kill a human, but enough to make any predator regret its decision. For us, touching one with bare hands might cause skin irritation, maybe a mild burning sensation if you're sensitive. Definitely don't touch your eyes afterward. For small predators like birds, snakes, or mammals that actually try to eat them, though, bomycin causes immediate mouth numbness, excessive salivation, and often violent vomiting. The predator learns its lesson fast and remembers that bright belly for life. The hunting method is simple ambush predation. Fire-bellied toads sit motionless at the water's edge or float just below the surface, waiting for insects, worms, or small invertebrates to wander within striking distance. When prey gets close, snap, that sticky tongue shoots out and back in a fraction of a second. They're not active hunters. They're patient trappers that let the food come to them. When threatened by a predator that isn't deterred by the toxin warning, fire-bellied toads perform their death display. They arch their back dramatically, flip onto their back, and extend all 4 legs stiffly into the air, exposing that brilliant red and orange belly. This is called the Unkin reflex, and it serves 2 purposes. It shows off the warning coloration as a last-ditch "don't eat me" signal, and it makes the toad appear already dead and possibly poisonous. The toad remains frozen in this position, completely motionless, sometimes for several minutes. If the predator still approaches, the toad might even secrete more toxin, doubling down on the chemical defense while playing corpse. Here's the weird part. Fire-bellied toads can live for over 15 years in captivity, an absurdly long lifespan for such a tiny amphibian. They've been known to recognize their owners, swimming to the surface during feeding time and ignoring strangers. For a creature that plays dead, they're surprisingly alert and aware when the coast is clear. But we're only halfway through our ranking, and if you've made it this far, I have a challenge for you. At the end of this video, I'm going to ask you one very specific question that you can only answer if you've watched every single segment. The first person to comment the correct answer wins a feature and shout-out in our next video. Let's see who's paying attention. Keep watching. Grass snake. This is Europe's most widespread snake, and it's been fooling predators across the continent for millennia. You'll find grass snakes in the United Kingdom, across most of mainland Europe, and stretching into parts of Asia. Basically anywhere with wetlands, meadows, ponds, and slow-moving rivers. They love areas where amphibians gather, because that's their primary food source. If you've got a garden pond in England, there's a decent chance you've got a grass snake nearby. Size-wise, grass snakes are surprisingly long. Females can reach 4 feet, about the length of a baseball bat, though males are smaller. They're slender, olive green or brown, with distinctive yellow or white collar markings behind the head that look like a bright necklace. Their scales are smooth and slightly glossy, giving them an almost wet appearance even when dry. Black bars run down their sides, creating a subtle pattern that helps them vanish into vegetation. The real power is their swimming ability. Grass snakes are semi-aquatic hunters, and they're astonishingly good in water. They can swim with just their head above the surface like a tiny periscope, or dive completely and hold their breath for over half an hour. They're faster in water than most of their prey, which gives them a massive advantage. For humans, grass snakes are completely harmless. They have no venom whatsoever. If cornered, they might hiss and strike, but it's all bluff. Their bite wouldn't even break skin most of the time, and if it did, it's just a superficial scratch. For their actual prey, frogs, toads, newts, and small fish, the grass snake is an efficient constrictor. They don't crush like a boa. They simply hold the struggling amphibian in their coils until it stops moving, then swallow it whole. The hunting method is active stalking. Grass snakes patrol pond edges and riverbanks, using their excellent vision and sense of smell to track amphibians. When they spot a frog, they approach slowly, then lunge with surprising speed, grabbing it with their mouth and immediately looping their body around it. The whole process is quick and efficient. No venom needed, just mechanical restraint. But when threatened by a predator, a bird of prey, a fox, a curious dog, the grass snake performs one of nature's most theatrical death scenes. It flips onto its back, opens its mouth wide, lets its tongue hang limply out, and goes completely still. But it doesn't stop there. The snake releases a foul-smelling musk from its cloaca, a putrid combination of feces and specialized gland secretions that smells like rotting flesh. It even bleeds from its mouth sometimes, adding a visual element to the performance. The entire display screams, "I'm already dead and I'm decomposing. Don't bother eating me." If you flip the snake back onto its belly, it will immediately roll onto its back again, committed to the bit. And here's the part that surprised researchers. Grass snakes will sometimes monitor the threat with one partially opened eye while playing dead. They're not unconscious. They're actively assessing when it's safe to resurrect and slither away. It's method acting with a safety net. The next creature takes this strategy underwater, and it's much, much smaller than you'd expect. Cichlid fish. Now we're diving beneath the surface to talk about a fish that fakes death as a hunting strategy, not just defense. Cichlids are a massive family of freshwater fish found in Africa, Central America, and South America, with over 300 species. But we're focusing specifically on the species that use thanatosis, death-feigning, and the most famous is the Nimbochromis livingstoni from Lake Malawi in East Africa. Locals call it the sleeper fish, for reasons that will become very clear. This cichlid grows to about 4 to 5 inches long, roughly the size of your TV remote. It's mottled brown and gray with irregular dark blotches that look like decay spots. And this camouflage is absolutely intentional. The fish has a compressed body and large eyes positioned to see even when lying on its side. Everything about its appearance is designed to look like a dead, decomposing fish. Surprisingly, the power is in its incredible patience. Most predatory fish are active hunters that chase prey. The cichlid does the opposite. It can lie motionless on the lake bottom for hours, controlling its breathing to near undetectable levels, waiting for the perfect moment. This kind of behavioral control requires a level of neurological sophistication most people don't associate with fish. For humans, cichlids are completely harmless. They're popular aquarium fish. For their actual prey, though, small fish and invertebrates, the cichlid is a nightmare disguised as an opportunity. Here's where it gets brilliant. The hunting method is pure deception. The cichlid swims to a sandy or rocky area of the lake bottom, tips onto its side, and goes completely still. It lies there looking exactly like a fish corpse, even allowing sand to drift onto its body for added effect. Its coloration mimics the decay patterns of dead fish perfectly. Then it waits. Small fish and scavengers are naturally attracted to dead animals. Free protein, no danger, easy meal. They approach the corpse to nibble on it. The moment a small fish gets close enough, snap, the cichlid explodes into motion, opening its mouth and creating a vacuum that sucks the prey straight in. The attack is over in milliseconds. Then the cichlid settles back down into its death pose and waits for the next victim. This isn't defensive thanatosis. This is offensive thanatosis. The cichlid isn't trying to avoid being eaten. It's using the appearance of death to do the eating. It's evolved one of the most creative ambush strategies in the animal kingdom. And here's the unexpected behavior that blew researchers away. Cichlids in Lake Malawi have been observed learning from each other. Younger cichlids watch older ones perform the death-feigning hunt, and they imitate it. This means the behavior isn't purely instinctive. There's a learned cultural component to their hunting technique. Fish are teaching each other how to play dead to catch prey. The next two creatures take death-feigning in completely different directions. One uses it to escape being eaten by mates, and the other deploys it against birds. Nursery web spider. Let's talk about a spider that fakes death to avoid sexual cannibalism, because apparently, dating in the spider world is even more dangerous than it is for humans. Nursery web spiders are found across Europe, Asia, and North America, living in meadows, grasslands, wetlands, and along the edges of ponds and streams. You've probably walked past dozens without noticing. They're masters of staying hidden in vegetation. These spiders are leggy and large, about the size of a bottle cap when their legs are extended, with bodies reaching nearly an inch long. They're usually brown or gray with lighter stripes running down the length of their body, perfect camouflage against tree bark and dried grass. Their legs are long and thin, built for speed rather than web building, because despite being spiders, they don't use webs to hunt. The real power is their sprinting speed. Nursery web spiders are active hunters that chase down prey on foot, and they're shockingly fast for their size. They can cover several body lengths per second across uneven terrain. They're also excellent swimmers, able to run across the surface of water and even dive beneath it to escape threats or catch aquatic insects. For humans, a nursery web spider bite is mild, kind of like a bee sting with localized pain and maybe some swelling. Nothing that requires medical attention. They're not aggressive and would much rather run than bite. For their actual prey, flies, mosquitoes, small beetles, even tadpoles, the spider uses speed and powerful fangs to capture and inject venom that immobilizes the victim within seconds. The hunting method is pure pursuit predation. The spider sits motionless on vegetation, using its excellent eyesight to spot movement. When it detects prey, it sprints directly at it, often leaping the final distance to grab the insect mid-flight or mid-crawl. No web needed, just speed, timing, and precision. But here's where the death-feigning comes in, and it's tied to one of nature's most dangerous activities: mating. Male nursery web spiders approach females while carrying a gift, a dead insect wrapped in silk. This nuptial gift is supposed to distract the much larger female while the male mates with her. But females are often aggressive, and many males get eaten anyway. So some clever males have evolved a backup plan: thanatosis. If the female attacks, the male goes completely limp, legs curled in, appearing dead. The female loses interest in the corpse and goes back to eating her gift. The moment she's distracted, the male resurrects, sneaks into position, and completes mating before she realizes he's alive. Then he runs for his life. It's death feigning as a reproductive strategy, playing dead to pass on your genes. And here's the wild part. The species gets its name from what the female does after mating. She builds a silk tent, the nursery web, among vegetation and guards her egg sac and newly hatched spiderlings inside it. She doesn't eat during this time, sometimes for weeks, standing guard until her babies disperse. It's one of the few examples of extended maternal care in spiders. What comes next is the smallest creature on our list, and it uses death in the strangest way yet: click beetle. This is an insect the size of a sunflower seed, and it's got a party trick that doubles as a survival mechanism. Click beetles are found worldwide, on every continent except Antarctica, living in forests, gardens, fields, and pretty much anywhere with decaying wood and leaf litter. You've probably heard one before you've seen one, because their defense mechanism is loud. Click beetles range from a 1/4 inch to over 2 inches depending on species, but most are around 1/2 inch, about the size of a paperclip. They're elongated, hard-bodied, and usually brown or black, though some tropical species have metallic colors that shimmer in sunlight. They've got short legs and antennae, and a body that's rigid and segmented like armor plating. The real power is the click mechanism itself. On the underside of the beetle, between the first and second body segments, is a spine and groove system that works like a spring-loaded hinge. When threatened, the beetle arches its body, building tension, then releases, click, snapping the spine into the groove with enough force to launch the beetle several inches into the air while producing an audible clicking sound. It's a combination escape mechanism and startle response, and it's surprisingly effective. For humans, click beetles are completely harmless. No bite, no sting, no venom. They're beneficial insects that eat pest larvae. For their actual predators, birds, lizards, small mammals, the sudden noise and movement is often enough to make them drop the beetle in surprise, giving it a chance to escape or hide. The click mechanism also serves another purpose. If the beetle gets knocked onto its back, it can't flip over with its short legs. So it uses the click jump to launch itself into the air, spinning randomly and hopefully landing right side up. It might take several tries, but eventually it works. But here's where the death feigning comes in. When first grabbed by a predator, click beetles often go completely limp, legs tucked in, antennae flat, no movement. They play dead convincingly. The predator, thinking it's caught a corpse, might loosen its grip or set the beetle down to inspect it. The moment that happens, click. The beetle launches itself away in a random direction, sometimes clicking multiple times in a row like a tiny biological popcorn kernel. The combination of death feigning followed by explosive movement is disorienting to predators and remarkably effective as a last-ditch escape. And here's the unexpected twist. Click beetle larvae, called wireworms, are some of the most destructive agricultural pests in the world, chewing through crop roots and causing millions in damage annually. The harmless-looking adult beetle is just the surface. Beneath the soil, its children are waging war on human agriculture. We've reached our final creature, and this one is a lizard that takes playing dead to a level that involves calculated risk and perfect timing. Central American ameiva lizard. This is a lizard that gambles with its life every time it plays dead, and it lives in Central America and Northern South America, places like Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and Panama. You'll find them in open areas, forest edges, and anywhere with plenty of sun and insects. They're active during the day, sprinting across leaf litter and exposed ground like tiny dinosaurs. The Central American ameiva grows to about a foot long, including the tail, roughly the size of a ruler. Males are more colorful than females, with bright blue or green flanks, brown backs, and yellowish undersides. They're built for speed. Long legs, streamlined bodies, and whip-like tails that help them balance during high-speed chases. Their scales are smooth and shiny, giving them a polished appearance in sunlight. The real power is their sprint speed. These lizards can hit nearly 10 miles per hour in short bursts, which doesn't sound like much until you scale it to body size. That's the equivalent of a human running nearly 200 miles per hour. They use this speed to chase down fast-moving insects and to escape predators like birds, snakes, and larger lizards. For humans, ameiva lizards are completely harmless. No venom, no aggression, just a quick lizard trying to live its life. For their prey, grasshoppers, crickets, beetles, and spiders, the ameiva is a relentless pursuit predator that rarely misses once it locks on. The hunting method is visual tracking and sprinting. The lizard patrols its territory with its head held high, using excellent eyesight to spot movement. When it sees an insect, it charges at full speed, makes quick directional changes to match the prey's evasive maneuvers, and snaps it up with a quick bite. The whole pursuit takes seconds. But when cornered by a predator, especially a snake, which is one of their main threats, some ameiva lizards employ thanatosis with a unique twist. The lizard suddenly goes completely rigid, legs stiff, body motionless, and topples over onto its side like a toy that's run out of batteries. It doesn't struggle. It doesn't twitch. It looks absolutely dead. The predator, particularly snakes that rely on movement to track prey, often loses interest. Snakes prefer live prey. Dead animals might be diseased or dangerous to eat. Here's the gamble. If the snake decides to investigate anyway, the lizard has mere seconds to resurrect and sprint away before it gets grabbed. The timing has to be perfect. Too early and the snake is still alert. Too late and the lizard becomes lunch. And here's what makes this particularly fascinating. Researchers have found that ameiva lizards are more likely to use thanatosis against snake predators than against birds. This suggests they're making calculated decisions about when to play dead based on the type of threat. Behavioral flexibility that indicates these lizards are genuinely assessing their situation, not just reacting on pure instinct. We have reached the end of our expedition through the strange world of animals that fake their own deaths. From the opossum's involuntary corpse impression to the cichlid's deadly ambush disguised as a free meal, these 8 creatures have evolved thanatosis for survival, reproduction, and even hunting. It's a reminder that in nature, the line between life and death isn't always clear. And sometimes playing dead is the smartest way to stay alive. Now for the secret question, and this one requires you to have paid close attention. Which creature on this list uses death feigning not to escape predators, but to actively hunt and catch its prey? Leave your answer in the comments below. The first correct response wins a feature and shout out in our next video. Thank you for exploring with me. Stay curious and watch where you step.